there's a few games this in the bracket where I'm just kind of thinking myself in circles a bit with who's going to win because I can totally see it going both ways. I know there's a lot of games, but there's two that I'm really tripping myself up on, going back and watching film, trying to piece it together, thinking of different angles, trying to figure out the puzzle. Because, look, if either of these games goes down to the wire, it's a buzzer or something, or it's a one-possession game late, I'll say, fine, there wasn't a correct answer. Even if one team wins by 20, that doesn't mean that if they played 100 times, that would always happen. But you get the point. I will be so mad if I spent all these times on these damn games and then pick one team and the other one wins easily. Because I'm going to be like, I knew it. Of course that happened, So before I get into that, real quick, I'm going live in a couple hours. The hour before the SMU Miami Ohio game, I'm going to have J-Man there. I'm going to have Matt Geist, 6 Rings of Steel there. One than the other. We're going to answer all your questions, Q&As for the bracket. So please tap in. Appreciate all the support lately. And let's get into it. I figured out OBS a little bit. Watch this. Look at that transition. I'll do it again. Who likes the Utah State Student Affairs hat, by the way? Anyways, change scene. Here we go. Texas A&M St. Mary's. Texas A&M St. Mary's. This game has driven me nuts because ultimate contrast of styles, right? Where's the bracket? Ultimate contrast of styles. Is the fast, athletic, crazy, full court press SEC team going to turn over St. Mary's, be too quick with the guards, spread them out, 5 out, hit a bunch of threes, use their depth, wreak havoc, out-talent them? Or is St. Mary's going to take the air out of the ball, be super fundamental, play through their 2 giant towering 7-3 guys? When A&M is crazy doubling the post, they just go pass, hit a wide open threes. They're a better 3-point shooting team now. They have 4 days prep to get ready for buckyball, to get ready for that first pass in, to get trapped. What's going to happen? I don't know. St. Mary's is favored by 3.5 points. They've been the better team lately, but they haven't played a team like A&M really at all. They played Santa Clara, not the same at all, but better athletes than WCC teams. Santa Clara will force turnovers pretty well, near the top of the country in turnover rate. And, a guy like Alan Graves, a 5-man who can step out and shoot it, put the ball on the floor like a Rashawn Agee for A&M. But, so St. Mary's at the end of the season lost to Santa Clara for a second time. They beat Gonzaga and Santa Clara at home to close the season, but from here to here, what do they do except for lose to the 2 kind of good teams in their league? This game, I know I have to make everything about Vanderbilt. I know people are probably tired of it, but you're going to hear about Vanderbilt in this video because this game that St. Mary's played against Vanderbilt is super important. Can you guys see this well enough on the screen share? I'm so tired of being a boomer with this OBS stuff. How's that? Is that better? It should be better. Vanderbilt beat the crap out of St. Mary's, right? And Vandy's better than A&M, but it's a fast-paced SEC team that wants to turn you over and space you out, hit threes, and is not a good defensive rebounding team compared to what St. Mary's is as an offensive rebounding team. St. Mary's is an elite rebounding team. 4th best defensive rebounding, 15th best offensive rebounding. Wessels and McKeever, the 2 giant guys, will tap that back out. But look at this. When they played Vandy, 3rd game in 3 days, though, in Atlantis, 1-day prep. McKeever, 0 foul shots attempted in 27 minutes, 3 offensive boards. Harry Wessels fouls out in 11 minutes, doesn't grab a single offensive board. 6 offensive rebounds as a team for St. Mary's, and they turn the ball over 16 times. In Vandy, shoots 40% from deep, efficient offensively. Miles Tanner, Frankie Collins when he was there, getting in the lane, making plays, kicking it out. Game came very easy to Vanderbilt. They were in control the entire way. And St. Mary's hasn't seen a team like that. And while they had to play a great game in a lot of ways, double the post, rip and strip of the ball, be very efficient offensively. It's tough to deal with these 2 7-footer guys. They're skilled. And St. Mary's runs very organized offense. If you double them, they are good passers. And you can find a Mikey Lewis, a Joshua Denham-Raskis, a Dylan Shaw who now starts. And they can knock down open threes. St. Mary's was not a good 3-point shooting team last year. They're up at 39%. They don't take a ton of them, but up at 39% this year. What were they last year? 32%. Terrible. And sorry, more Vanderbilt. Who did St. Mary's play in the first round of the tournament last year? A worse Vanderbilt team than last year. But what happened in that game environment? Did the fast-paced SEC team score 90 points? No. It was 59-56 dragged in the mud. And Vandy was hot early. Edwards finished the game with 18. St. Mary's couldn't score in the first half. They scored 22 points. And, 10 offensive rebounds, better than 6, obviously. Out-rebounded Vandy by 13. Took pretty good care of the ball. Marshallonis, player of the year in the league, had 5 turnovers, only 9 as a team. You see Joshua Dent and Mikey Lewis have stepped into much bigger roles than they had last year as freshmen. But, Morauskas couldn't shoot a lick. Mikey Lewis is a good shooter. He just didn't make any shots that game. The other guys, made some shots, but they shot 28% from deep as a team. And when Vandy would double the post hard, they would get wide open threes, and they just didn't hit them. And why'd they win the game? Because Vandy just wasn't good enough offensively in the half court. They couldn't run it all. And, they shot 30% from deep, didn't get to the free throw line at all. A much worse Vanderbilt team, but still a good one, still a scrappy one. So you understand what I'm getting at? There are different ways this can go in this fast versus slow, big versus little. Can A&M in buckyball, full court pressure, trapping the first pass in, can they speed up St. Mary's and wreak havoc? Or is St. Mary's going to control the pace, drag them through the mud, out and execute offensively by getting those low post touches to the bigs, getting AG and Clements and those guys in foul trouble, and take care of the ball? Joshua Dent's got to take care of the ball. Look at what Joshua Dent has done in wins versus losses. So, only 1 turnover against Santa Clara. He's been playing 40 minutes a lot of games lately too, but 4 turnovers in the loss to Gonzaga, 4 turnovers in the loss to Santa Clara, 4 in the loss of Boise State, 3 in the loss to Vandy. He's got to take care of the ball. He's going to be out there the whole time, as does Mikey Lewis. But Texas A&M was doing a great job at forcing turnovers earlier on in the season. When they got off to that hot start in SEC play, that's what they were doing. They were forcing turnovers. They were speeding teams up, making them super uncomfortable. They started SEC play 7-1. The only loss at Tennessee in double overtime. And the numbers are inflated because it was double overtime, but 24 offensive boards for Tennessee. Crushed them on the offensive glass. But there's other games where A&M, in theory, should have gotten kind of crushed on the glass. Even Georgia, Texas, Kentucky. But they hang tough enough on the glass. They win the turnover battle, and they hit a bunch of threes because they got Rylan Griffin, sniper, Ruben Dominguez, sniper. Zach Clements has turned into a sniper after, Bill Self didn't. Bill Self got, 10 threes out of him in 3 years, and he hit freaking 7 threes in a game. He went 7 for 8 from deep against South Carolina. Texas A&M, sure, they've stumbled to the finish line, but you don't just get 7-1 in the SEC. They get to the rim. They play with such energy. They'll play 12 guys. Bucky is a wizard. Shot creating guards. Pop Isaacs can hit shots off the bounce from deep. Marcus Hill can get to the cup. Jakari Lane hasn't played as much lately, but barely. But he started for most of the season. I don't know if he's hurt or something. I don't know what his deal is. I just know he hasn't been playing as much. Fede Federico is on Texas Tech last year. He's been in the tournament before, and they barely use him, but he's another big body to have against those 7-footers should they need him. I think Vincent gives him solid minutes when he's in there, but he doesn't get much run. But, they'll use 12 guys, and St. Mary's is going to be playing 7 guys, playing their guards the whole 40 minutes. And I think A&M's totally capable of speeding them up. They haven't turned teams over as well lately. I don't know if that's just fatigue. I don't know if it's just more film being out on them in SEC play, just a little bit of bad luck and variance. But they're not. The SEC has a lot of teams that are great at taking care of the ball. Arkansas is great at taking care of the ball. Alabama takes good care of the ball. Vanderbilt takes good care of the ball. Ole Miss takes good care of the ball. And St. Mary's takes okay care of the ball. You'd think it would be much better than this, especially with their schedule. So I don't know. I just threw a bunch at you. Such a contrast in styles between these two teams. And who will set the tempo? I don't know. I lean towards a Randy Bennett coach team. See, I'm going to see if I can talk myself into St. Mary's. I lean towards a Randy Bennett coach team with 4 days of prep that always seems to, win. They always seem to be in a 7-5 game, 7 seed, 5 seed, whatever. And they'll get you a game. They lost to Grand Canyon because Grant Foster went nutso in that game. But they go get you. Randy Bennett goes and gets you a game most of the time in the tournament. And Bucky McMillan, when he was at Samford, they took Kansas down to, I'm lost on KenPom right now. They took Kansas down to the wire. Should have won that game. They called that garbage block on Timberlake. There was a clean block, and they called a foul. A Kansas team that didn't have much of a bench, right? Sure, you got 20 boards at Hunter Dickinson, but they turned the ball over 18 times. And Bucky Ball hit 16 threes and had 23 assists. And Achora made plays. Everyone made plays. And look how many more guys they got. You know, Josh Holloway's on this team. He's the only guy still there. But that was Bucky's tournament experience. Randy's much more experienced, but Bucky's got a fun style that's really tough to prepare for. How much does having 4 days to prepare for help when St. Mary's hasn't really seen anything like what A&M does? And the closest thing, you know, with SEC guards and some pressure defense, 5-out spacing, they lost by 25. So I'm torn, man. I don't know. If it's like gun to my head, I have to pick a team, I think I would go boring and discipline versus chaos. Like, I think St. Mary's probably makes the most sense because with the time to prep, I think if they can keep the turnovers down a bit, A&M doesn't really have a chance without nuclear shooting. And I trust St. Mary's. We're going to go full screen, a little more intimate for the parting thought here. I think St. Mary's is a really good offense. They're a good the best free throw shooting team in the country, 81.1%. And the bigs are really good on the blocks. I know that a team like Vanderbilt could just find a way to negate that. You know, Wessels gets some foul trouble. They kept him off the offensive glass, you know, just swarming the glass, pressing those big guys. You have to play a really, really sound game to beat St. Mary's. So I think I lean St. Mary's. But there's a part of me that has this deep fear within me that I'm going to turn this game on and Texas A&M is going to be pressing them, turning them over, hitting threes. And then in the half court, when they get bogged down, it's, you know, Pop Isaacs and Rylan Griffin and Dominguez making plays in the half court, and AG 5-out spacing, Clements 5-out spacing just causes problems for a less talented, less athletic, slower St. Mary's team. And the towering 7-footers are just kind of lost defensively. Then I would be like, damn, why'd I pick the boring team? Or St. Mary's is going to control the tempo, win 68-54, and I'm going to be like, how silly of me to fade St. Mary's. So I don't know. I haven't picked yet, okay? I think I picked Bucky Ball in my first initial bracket because I'm like, let me go with the fun team. But I really don't know. It's a really tough game. I just spent 13 minutes on that game. I had an idea to make like a TikTok about that game, but I had too much damn things to say. I hope you thought that was interesting. And try to convince me down below. Please, someone. Okay, the second game I don't have as much to say on. It's Miami-Mizzou. Miami-Mizzou. Let me look at the fade transition. We are leveling up this production. All right. Miami-Mizzou. I just talked about two very contrasting teams. How about this time? Two very similar teams. Two teams that want to live in the paint and bully ball you with a big four-man who can, you know, hit an occasional three, put the ball on the floor, go either way, get to the line. Tough to stop. Malik Renaud and Mark Mitchell. Next to a towering, strong 7-footer, Sean Phillips, Ernest Uday. Teams that want to guards that want to get downhill. Trey Donaldson, Teal Barrett. Get out in transition. Score in transition, score in the paint. Very similar. So if Mizzou's best way of beating teams is bullying teams on the inside, riding Mitchell, you know, hitting the offensive glass, and Miami's way is controlling the glass, bullying teams on the inside, what happens when one team can't bully the other team? Who do I trust more? My gut initially was Miami because I think they have the better head coach. I think in a small sample size, Jay Lucas, I trust more. Dennis Gates, great job bringing in talent. Great offensive coach most of the time. Defensively, defensive rebounding, they have their weaknesses. But They have such positional size. Like my boy Trent Pierce, love Trent Pierce. 6'10 at the threes, a better rebounder now. Like they just got crazy positional size, athleticism, depth. Jacob Cruz is one of the best shooters in the country. They don't even use him some games. Trent Burns is a 7'5 dude who can move his feet and has some moments. They don't even use him some games. T.O. Barrett's a Bulldog guard who can go drop 28 on Tennessee. Doesn't even get much production out of him some games. Anthony Robinson's a guy that I thought could have been a first-round pick this summer. Hasn't fully come together for him. Super talented player still. Jaden Stone's had 20-point games for Mizzou. Let me show their KenPom page. But you get the point. I think Mizzou's a super talented team. Sometimes I just don't trust. There's a reason why their KenPom's rating low. Partly it's because of injuries. Stone missed time and Pierce missed time. By the way, Javon Porter, I don't even know if he's just... I thought he was maybe got healthy again. Maybe he wanted to save his eligibility. Sebastian Mack, pretty good guard who started a lot against UCLA that they don't even use him. Not in the rotation. Just super talented team. Jacob Cruz, sniper. 6'8 sniper. Don't even use him some games. Shooting 45% from deep. Don't even use him some games. 8 minutes against Kentucky in the SEC tournament. Loaded team. But they do some frustrating things sometimes. Like down the stretch, it's like, why is Anthony Robinson taking the air out of the ball and taking a step back three? Or it's literally all on Mark Mitchell. I think this team looks best when the lineup is Barrett, Stone, not Robinson. Barrett, Stone, Pierce, Mitchell, Phillips, or Mitchell at the 5. Give me Jacob Cruz in there. Trent Pierce at the 4. But there's a lot of optionality. Huge team that gets to the free throw line, lives at the free throw line, good around the rim, protects the rim. Why is their opponent three-point percentage so high? Is it bad luck? Maybe a little bit, but honestly, I think it's because they're just kind of bad at being in rotation and guys get open shots. Which transitions me to a Miami team that's not that great at shooting. They've got the Israeli wild card, Noam Davra, who's kind of came out of nowhere lately and become, he'll come in, give you 12, 15 minutes a game and get up 5, 6 threes and make a few of them. He'll matter in this game. Trey Donaldson on paper, he hit some big shots. Capable shooter, not really a shooter, but he's capable. True Washington's been another guy I don't really consider a shooter, but he's been shooting it better. Definitely been shooting it better. You guys can see this, right? Okay, good. I'll get better. Have some patience with me. Shelton Henderson, not a shooter. Dante Allen, not really a shooter. So this is how I start to talk myself into Mizzou. I'm like, Miami can't really bully them. Can they punish them from behind the arc? I don't think so. In a game like at Virginia that they almost won, to only take 18 threes, made 9 of them, that should be enough for a team like this who shoots 94% from the line. 6 turnovers for Renew. Who wins the turnover battle? That's another interesting thing. Miami's not great at forcing turnovers. Take care of it, fine. They were actually one of the worst teams in the ACC play at taking care of it. Lived at the line, great on the glass. Just similar teams. And what happens if Mitchell or Phillips or Uday or Renault gets in foul trouble early? Completely changes the game if one of these teams does end up having that advantage on the interior. I want to lean towards the more consistent, safe Miami team with a better coach and the best guard on the floor, probably in Trey Donaldson. But when I really think about it, Mizzou can shoot the rock, man. So if Miami does protect the paint well, Trent Pierce is a sniper. Anthony Robinson can't hit shots. 29% can't hit shots. T.O. Barrett cannot hit shots. Mark Mitchell's been hitting some threes here and there. I need some more Jaden Stone minutes. He's cooled off a bit lately. He was scoring in double figures basically every game. He's cooled off a bit because they don't trust him as much defensively late in games. Not as good defensively as Robinson. But, man, Trent Pierce, Jacob Cruz, those guys could each hit 5, 6 threes in this game. They could. Robinson could hit some. Stone could hit some. I just like Mizzou a little better. So I think I just talked myself into Mizzou. But they're a frustrating team. Mizzou could be down 15.5. I don't see Mizzou running away from Miami. I just think if it's a close game down the stretch, and it's just a rock fight, half court possession, I feel like Mizzou could be generating better looks. That's sometimes how I think about it. You ever watch a basketball game and it's down the stretch and it's one team's possession. It's a close game, and you're watching Miami's possession. You're like, ooh, they're taking a tough shot with Renault. Or it's Donaldson having to create something late shot clock. And then Mizzou, it's like they're playing through Mitchell. He's down low. He's probably going to score. Oh, they bring a double. Boom, pass. Trent Pierce, open three. Maybe he misses it. Probably doesn't because Trent Pierce. But, like, you get the point. Who just created a better look? I want to be watching a game. I feel like there's always, in the best games, this isn't the way. It's just who's making the shots. But, like, in a game like this, I always feel like one team's generating a little bit better shots in a close game down the stretch. And I would trust Mizzou more than Miami. But Miami's more likely to like win this game by 10. So, another rant. This is my shortest video. Who knew? Those are the two games driving me crazy. Let me know who you guys have in them. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. There's a couple games that more so like scare me. Like, I think UCLA can make a deep run. UCF just scares me a little bit because physical on the interior. A little underrated. You get out of the Big 12, they just look different in a different game environment. Like, could be tough for those UCLA guards to keep Fulks and Kugel in front. That one scares me a little bit. This one's a little confusing, but the more I dug into VCU, man, I didn't watch them a ton this year. They're good. Terrence Hill is so good. Djokovic is a dog. I'm going with VCU there. Kentucky Santa Clara is a tough one, but to be honest, I don't really care that much about it because I think Iowa State will beat them no matter what. I'm just kind of going to take Santa Clara because I want them to win. I'm going to root for them, and it's not that deep. It's worth 10 points in my bracket. I think Georgia St. Louis is a tough one because I think Georgia has a way better shot at Michigan, but I think St. Louis is going to get theirs against Georgia. Like, I think they're going to look really good offensively. But yeah, that's basically. BYU Texas is interesting because I really am like higher than consensus on BYU. Like, I really love the way the role players have been playing since that second half of the Texas Tech game. I really like what BYU's looked like, and I think AJ's not going to go lose in the first round. But you throw Swain or Weaver at him; those are like decent matchups. Swain's a pretty good matchup, but I don't know. I think Keita and those guys can do a decent enough job on Vukatitis. I'm going to take BYU. And then Louisville, South Florida. Everyone's on South Florida now without Michael. I was on South Florida before Michael. Now I'm kind of like, should we take Louisville? But nah. Let's have some fun. I'm going to take South Florida. That's it. Those are the two games I wanted to talk about, hence the thumbnail. Appreciate you guys watching. I forgot I was screen sharing there at the end. I'm making mistakes with OBS. All right. We live and we learn. That was fun. Tune into live stream tonight. Like, share, subscribe, comment, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you. Enjoy the madness. Peace.